I've been thinking a lot about shame lately, and it's taken me to an unexpected place in understanding the emotion of awe. And I didn't expect when learning more about shame and working with it clinically and kind of questioning my underlying assumptions I've had about it all this time, and particularly how to work with it in sessions. I did not expect to find myself learning a lot about awe as well. And it's timely for me because ever since my son has been born, really, I think ever since I've gotten pregnant, but definitely since my son has been born, which he's 9 months old now, I have been in awe every day on some level, in some way. And experiencing awe so much now, I realize how absent it was in my life before, and also how drawn to it I was in my life before. That I realized the experiences I crave, the knowledge I learn, the knowledge I want to learn, the ideas I think about, the way I notice things. There's always a part of me that has been drawn towards awe. But it kind of felt like an experience that would just happen upon me, not something that I fostered myself. So I've been learning a lot about this emotion. It's kind of captured my attention. And I wanted to share some of what I'm learning. It's just so interesting. And the way it relates to shame is you can't feel shame and awe at the same time. The way that awe works in our minds, it quiets the default mode network, which is a part of our brain that gets stuck in self referencing loops. Which, if you've experienced shame, you know that it can really make you think a lot about yourself and how much you suck. And awe, when you're thinking of awe or experiencing it, it's like your brain can't go there. It can't go into that kind of loop. So these two emotions can't exist together, which is just so interesting to me that the antidote for shame is awe. Because in the work of the process of unbecoming and at the unbecoming hub, I'm always thinking about what is the innate aspects of being human and how do we already work. So if shame is a biological function of belonging, it's a way that keeps us in the group. And when shame can grow and turn into something self referencing that we have a really hard time getting out of, especially if we spend a lot of time in that self referencing loop, that lo and behold, our body has a way to get out of it on its own. And it's through the emotion of awe. It's unique in that way. The way that awe operates biologically and physiologically is unique in comparison to other emotions. So, awe is like the medicine for shame. And as humans, we're always gravitating towards it. And it's one of the few emotions that can release dopamine, which is the neurochemical we need that encourages us to engage in a behavior again. So, awe is very, uh, it creates a strong feedback of positivity. Our body really wants us to have that experience again. And there's a lot of wisdom in awe that I think accounts for that. So I'm going to read some of the notes here that I put together in researching awe. And the emotion is defined as arising from two core components: perceived vastness and a need for a combination. And vastness encompasses anything experienced as being much larger than the self or one's ordinary frame of reference. And that's kind of why the way that awe works in the mind and what it quiets down, that default mode network, the self referencing aspect of our brain, that mind habits we can get stuck in. when we're up against something that feels bigger than ourselves, that part of the brain just totally quiets. It goes still. And accommodation refers to the way awe forces us to revise our mental models of the world to make sense of what we're experiencing. In a more simplified version, awe is the feeling of being in the presence of something vast and mysterious that you don't understand with your current knowledge. I really like that one. I'm going to read it again. The feeling of being in the presence of something vast and mysterious that you don't understand with your current knowledge. It's just the best feeling in the world, isn't it? To become oriented to how small you are, like in a good way, kind of an exhilarating way. And I experienced this with my son so much. I mean, first of all, being pregnant was a trip. I'm not doing anything. There's just this human inside of me that is multiplying and dividing at a rate that I can't even fathom, becoming a whole self. And I'm just watching it happen. And then he's born, and to watch a little human that's my son, you know, that's like half me, just discover himself and the world, and everything is awe, every little thing. And so it's kind of forced me to see through his eyes, not just seeing what he sees, but watching him see what he sees, which is even more miraculous. It's probably why my sense of time sucks so much right now, because awe does alter your sense of perception of time. It creates time dilation. It allows you to savor the moment in that way. So I'm going to blame that on why my time sucks right now. But the thing that I love the most about this emotion is the small self effect. It immediately just puts you in your place in the best way. One of the best side effects of that, because you're in the small self, this feeling of, being small and the vastness of everything that is that it also leads you to feel more connected. And they've actually done a lot of studies on this to see that individuals who experience awe are more generous and kind for up to a year after they've had an experience of collective awe. So you're experiencing awe with other people. You're a kinder person for up to a year after that. Because when we're experiencing the emotion of awe, particularly with others, that individual self can dissolve, and you're reminded that you're a part of something bigger, that your life is not just about you. I don't think there's anything more grounding than that feeling, at least for me. And another cool thing about it is that awe, it has a universal sound across cultures. There's a sound that we make that is recognizable regardless of any kind of cultural or language barrier. And it can suggest that awe, kind of like fear or joy, has evolutionary roots as humans. And it makes sense since it releases dopamine. Our biology has recognized it as an important experience to have again. We only release dopamine for things that are important for our survival. Well, except in our modern world, they've figured out how to make our dopamine release at social media notifications. But outside of that, if we were all just out in the middle of nowhere, outside of modern manipulation of dopamine, we would only have dopamine for experiences that are important for survival that our body wants us to engage with again. And so it's interesting to think about awe falling into that category of how important it must be to have these shared experiences, the common humanity, the small self, the meaning, the humbling that your life is not about you and that you're a part of a bigger mystery. I think it's good for the soul. And our culture lacks it a lot now. We don't, at least for me, you have to intentionally put yourself into experiences of awe to kind of get your mind set for it. It's not as in your face as it was before. So there are 8 universal sources of awe that they've found from 26 countries, universal categories of awe experiences. It's in moral beauty, which is interesting. So witnessing extraordinary acts of kindness, courage, or virtue. Collective effervescence, shared emotional experiences in groups. And that's the kind where you can have a transformative experience and be kinder as a person for up to a year later, which is just crazy. You experience it in nature through vast landscapes, weather phenomena, natural world, even like microscopic nature. You think about the pattern on leaves or the geometric shape of a honeycomb, like things that just seem like so perfect. It's awe-inspiring. Music is a huge way to experience awe, and it also unites listeners, which goes back to that collective effervescence. Visual art and film can help tap into that, transcendent creative space. Spiritual and religious experiences, so ritual prayer and encounters with something that feels sacred. Life and death, the miracle of birth, the mystery of mortality. This is something that in the process of unbecoming, I talk about a bit of how birth and death are natural orienters for life, that they teach us how to be here. And big ideas, so conceptual encounters with vast or paradigm shifting knowledge. These are all ways that we can access awe more intentionally. And in our modern times, it may be a good idea to do that as a reminder when you're feeling stuck in anxiety or feeling, just down, kind of in the blues, or you're experiencing a lot of shame, that awe is the best natural medicine to counteract those emotions. And not just in the way that you feel, but the way that your brain is actually working. So this is just kind of another interesting fact that Einstein called it the most fundamental emotion. And something else that I was reading about is the tendency for awe to linger if you let it, that it hangs out. It likes to be around. It really, because that time dilation, you can just kind of bask in whatever it is you're experiencing. And so one of the practices you can do with awe is to resist the urge to break that spell, like to get your phone out and take a picture of what you're seeing or record it, or even, well, yeah, probably those are the big ones in our culture today. And it reminded me of something years and years ago. I was driving home I used to live in Phoenix. So I was up in Cave Creek, Arizona. I was at a little coffee shop place that had some live music that night. And I was driving home and I just saw this huge light across the sky, like way too, like I didn't know what it was. And, I don't remember how old it was a long time ago this happened. I'm like, what, did I have social media? I don't think so. I've never really had social media, but definitely there was a tendency to want to Google things. That tendency hadn't quite taken over my life yet. um, but it was getting there. I was like always wanting the answer to find the answer. And I remember, saying to my friend, I'm like, oh, we should look up like what's happening. There's probably someone's talking about it, I'm sure. And I was like, you know what? No, I'm just going to imagine what it could be. And at the time, I was like super into UFOs and aliens and all of that. I still am, but way more at that time in my life. And I was like, I'm just going to imagine, I'm just going to wonder and be curious and just soak in this feeling because it was a beautiful sight. It ended up being one of SpaceX's like first launches, but I didn't want to look it up. I actually didn't let myself look it up till the next morning. And it was so fun to just be in that space. And I was thinking about this the other day, like how often do we let ourselves live in the question? Live in the uncertainty of what something might be, live in the awe without immediately having to take a picture or record or break that spell and that feeling, the urge to document or look something up or whatever it might be for you can be pretty strong. I know it is for me. And so one of the practices is to not do that, to give yourself some time just in the feeling like, oh, this is amazing. And just like sit in it, let yourself be in that. So that's what I've been practicing. And it's not too hard for me. The Googling part is different, but taking photos and things, I'm so bad about taking pictures because since I never really had social media, it's just not something I think to do, unfortunately. And I also think having a camera at my disposal all of the time on my phone has really prevented me from taking pictures. Remember, I used to get like those disposable cameras and then it felt like an event. So you were like encouraged to take pictures because you didn't always have the camera. It's like as soon as I had a camera phone, I just stopped thinking about taking pictures. Anyway, that was like a tangent, but for me, it's like resisting the urge to look something up or answer the question. Like just live in the question. Let yourself wonder, let yourself ponder and imagine before you go do the thing, or the next time you go have an experience somewhere beautiful, maybe keep your phone away for a little while, see what it's like. And some other things you can do to elicit this feeling, like to engage with it more. They study this through something called awe walks, where you go out with the intention to notice what feels like wondrous to you, what feels mysterious, what captures your eye, and let yourself be awe inspired. And it's pretty cool when you go do this because you kind of realize how much we forget, like how much we take for granted the things around us that are just miracles, you know? So if you're feeling off, down, a little shamey, or you're just kind of feeling flat, or you're listening to this and you're like, wow, I haven't felt that feeling in a long time. Maybe that could be something to do. A little awe walk. Just notice something interesting for you, mysterious. It doesn't have to be a grand experience. It could just be going outside and staring at a leaf for a while. I don't know. Whatever it's going to be for you. I know that would do it for me. So for me right now, it's just looking at my son, the coolest thing in the world. All right. That's it for me this week. Let me know what your awe experience is like. I'll see you next time. You can find more of this work at theunbecominghub.com. Until next time.